Donald Trump is responsible.
Please run on
Donald Trump as an individual. Donald Trump as an individual is responsible for 27% of the U.S. debt. No other president is even close to that.
So Joe Biden's responsible for how much? Barack Obama is responsible for how much? Like, please run on this.
That's way different than 27%. That's way different than 27%. Trump.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Pillarism. Today, we're looking at a revealing moment on Chris Cuomo's show, where a debate between Adam Mockler and Ben Ferguson takes a sharp turn and ends sooner than expected. What starts as a routine political exchange quickly exposes deeper issues around messaging, accountability, and economic claims tied to Donald Trump. This isn't just about who spoke louder. It's about whose argument actually held up. If you care about clear, fact-based political analysis, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into
First, you know I love and respect you both. I apologize, but I needed to speak truth to power with O'Reilly. I ate up a lot of time. Let me just give each of you a good take on the state of play.
There's always an excuse with you and Bill O'Reilly. There's always a good excuse.
Listen,
I love it.
I'm sorry because, listen, I appreciate you guys coming on. You know what you mean to me. I really appreciate you for what you mean to the audience. So let me start with you. When you look at the state of play back here at home going into the midterms, Ben, my theory is simple. It's about the economy, and the MAGA mandate is up for grabs, meaning who's going to fix America first. How worried are you about that?
I'm not worried about it at this point, and I'll tell you why. I think we're going to get out of what's happening in Iran pretty quick. I think there's this obsession with, like, war should take 2 days. What we've been able to accomplish in this short amount of time is truly incredible with the military power we've used. And then the president understands more than anybody, he's not going to get anything done if he doesn't get back to the economy, lower gas prices quickly, and go back to what got him elected. He knows that. Democrats have already said, by the way, Conway, who's running for office in New York, said, elect me, and we're going to not only impeach Donald Trump if we win, we're going to impeach the vice president as well. They've already said what they're going to do. So the president knows what's at play here. I think we're going to get back to what matters here in this country. By the way, you can do two things at the same time. I think you look at the stock market. We got 87% of the gains back that we had in the loss from the first day of this war. So that's already coming back. Gas prices are already going to drop because we see the price of oil coming down. And the secure border is number one with the American people. National security is number two in the polls. We knew that going into this. And I think the president's going to pay off on it.
All right. Adam, thank you for keeping your face basically straight during that entire thing. I give you the rest of the time of the segment. What is your case about the opportunity for Democrats? And I'll give you a hint. I think you've got a major opportunity that was just served up to you.
Yeah. First of all, it's weird to just say that the stock market is up so much when Donald Trump is the one who crashed it down to new lows because of the way that he handled this war. But also, the question that you asked was great because a lot of Democrats will relentlessly rail against Trump without proposing our own affirmative vision. So I think Democrats need to run on the most vicious anti-corruption campaign we've ever seen. I think we should run on closing the tax loopholes that billionaires take advantage of. That would get us an extra $1 trillion per year that we could use to lower the debt, the deficit. I mean, right now, something that I'm worried about is the growing debt. We pay $1 trillion per year just on the interest of our debt. And Ben Ferguson is laughing, but he's the type of person that's created this debt crisis.
You guys never cared about it when you were in charge. You had the House, Senate, and the White House. You guys exploded the national debt. Donald Trump is responsible. Please run on
Donald Trump as an individual. Donald Trump as an individual is responsible for 27% of the U.S. debt. No other president is even close to that.
So Joe Biden's responsible for how much? Barack Obama is responsible for how much? Like, please run on this.
That's way different than 27%. That's way different than 27%. Trump.
For the first time since World War II, the national debt is bigger than the size of the economy. New data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis shows the debt reaching $31.27 trillion at the end of March. That's the debt of about $114,000 per American. At the same time, gross domestic product was estimated to be $31.22 trillion year over year.
There's no question that no country has ever remained a superpower when its debt got too large.
The Congressional Budget Office says increased spending on programs such as Social Security and Medicare, as well as interest payments, are driving the changes. It estimates by 2030, the U.S. could break the all-time record of a 106% debt to GDP ratio set in 1946.
We have the very dangerous situation where we spend more on interest payments on the national debt than we do on national defense.
The White House has downplayed the rising debt, arguing President Trump's economic policies will accelerate growth.
We're doing great, and there's more investment being made in the United States than any country at any time.
Still, lawmakers on Capitol Hill say something must be done. There are multiple bipartisan resolutions making their way through Congress aimed at addressing the deficit.
We're all in this boat together, and it's past time to start rowing in the right direction before the boat sinks.
Interest payments on the debt are expected to top $1 trillion this year. At the White House, Connor Hansen, Fox Chicago.
Will be worth or
so you don't know the number. Wait, you don't know the numbers? You only know the number that you hate Trump over. Got
it's
it.
10 to 15%.
That's what you guys are running off.
Well, hold on, Ben. We all know that Trump has been one of the top spenders in history, and the big reason for it is the same reason for Biden. It was the pandemic. And you can argue that through. Let's do this. Do me a favor. If you guys can make time tomorrow, come back. Let's keep talking affordability, because I really want to move the show in that direction. We got to get back home physically and politically. Adam, thank you. Ben, thank you. And again, I apologize to both of you. If you can do it tomorrow, it's on me.
What makes this exchange significant isn't the volume of the debate. It's the contrast in how arguments are constructed and tested. On one side, you have Ben Ferguson presenting a familiar political narrative, optimism about economic recovery, confidence in leadership, and a broad framing of national priorities. On the other side, Adam Mockler shifts the conversation toward specifics, debt figures, policy consequences, and an affirmative democratic vision focused on anti-corruption and fiscal accountability. And that contrast matters, because when Ferguson is pressed, the strategy changes. Instead of engaging the substance, like the claim about Donald Trump's contribution to the national debt, the response pivots to comparison and deflection. What about Biden? What about Obama? That's a classic rhetorical move. It reframes the conversation away from evaluating one claim on its own merits and turns it into a partisan balancing act. But in doing so, it avoids the central question rather than answering it. Mockler, for his part, isn't just criticizing. He's attempting to define a policy direction, closing tax loopholes, addressing deficit spending, and articulating what Democrats should run on, not just what they should oppose. That's a critical distinction. Voters don't just evaluate criticism, they evaluate alternatives. And when a political argument includes both critique and proposal, it carries more weight in a serious policy discussion. Now look at Chris Cuomo's role here. The decision to cut the segment short and promise a continuation later might seem procedural, but it also signals something about the dynamics of the exchange. When interruptions increase, when the discussion starts fragmenting, and when one side begins talking around the argument instead of through it, the debate becomes harder to moderate effectively. Cuomo's move suggests an attempt to regain structure, but it also underscores how quickly these conversations can lose clarity when accountability isn't maintained evenly. There's also a broader media implication. When political debates become arenas for rapid-fire talking points instead of structured argument, viewers are left to do the work of separating fact from framing. And that's not a small burden. In a healthy democratic environment, media platforms should elevate clarity, not confusion. They should create space where claims can be examined, not just exchanged. And this clip highlights exactly why that matters. Because the issues being discussed, economic recovery, national debt, political priorities, aren't abstract. They directly affect voters' lives. Gas prices, inflation, fiscal policy, these aren't talking points. They're lived realities. So when those issues are debated, the standard can't just be who sounds confident. It has to be who is grounded in verifiable claims and coherent policy direction. That's the accountability gap this moment exposes. Not every confident statement is a strong argument. Not every interruption is a rebuttal. And not every both sides framing actually reflects equal weight in the evidence presented. When those distinctions get blurred, political discourse becomes performance instead of analysis. And that's where Pillarism steps in, to separate performance from substance. If you want commentary that doesn't just replay debates but actually breaks down what they mean, who's making real arguments, who's deflecting, and why it matters for democracy, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who wants clarity instead of noise.